for products tested on animals. Visit PETA.org for a list of cruelty-free companies.
Hi, I'm Eli Roth for PETA. While violence in the movies is make-believe, sadly, violence against animals is all too real. Countless animals are tortured and abused every day, and most of the time these crimes go unreported. If you know of someone who is abusing an animal, please tell the police or tell an adult. People who get away with hurting animals often turn their violence against people, and that's a cycle we need to break. So let's leave the violence where it belongs, on the screen.
Between the darkness on the street and the houses filling up with light, between the stillness in my heart and the roar of the approaching night, somebody's calling after somebody. Somebody turns the corner out of sight, looking for somebody. Somewhere in the night.
Jackson Brown. Welcome back, everyone. This is Bernadette with Diamond Gray. I've got Lexi and Avi in studio, Jill Lane, and a very special guest on the line, Marta Zaraska. She is a freelance science journalist, travel writer, and ghostwriter, published in the Washington Post, Scientific American, and the Boston Globe, and the National Geographic Traveler. Her nonfiction book, Meat Hooked, which is a history and science of our 2.5 million year obsession with meat, was published in 2016 by Basic Books and chosen by the journal Nature as one of the best science picks in 2016. Meat Hooked has been translated into Polish, Japanese, Korean, and simplified Chinese. She is now working on a new book on longevity. Such an honor to have you on the show. Marta, welcome to One Life Radio.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this book. I really am. And I'm so thankful that you wrote it, because there's so many things about meat that I've never had the time to research myself, that I wanted a deeper understanding, because I feel that the meat consumption in the world is very problematic. We'll get to that. But, and I want to talk about this. Why do we as humans love meat so much?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I know I'm really, really happy that you enjoyed my book. So, your question, I have to say, it's a rather tricky one, because, it took me a whole book to explain it. Basically, there are different types of reasons why we love eating meat so much. So there are cultural reasons, there are psychological reasons, there are biological reasons, basically, in the way our bodies are made, and it all started when 2.5 million years ago our ancestors started eating meat, and back then meat was a great, really good food for them, because their diets were very poor in terms of calories, in terms of protein. They ate things like leaves and only just few types of fruits, and they basically didn't have much choice. So meat was great. It was loaded with calories, with fat, with lots of minerals and vitamins, and so we evolved to crave its taste. I always compare it to sugar, because, the same way we crave sugar for its calorie content. We evolved to crave things that are sweet because calories were good for our ancestors. The more the better. The same way we evolved to crave meat, because it was good for our ancestors. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's still good for us, because, just like with sugar, our priorities have changed. It's not the most important for us just to survive to the next day, because we are permanently hungry, right? We are looking for different things from food. We want to live healthy and long, and meat, just as sugar, is not necessarily the best way to get there.
Well, the book is absolutely fascinating. I said that yesterday. It's really, really incredibly well done as well. So I'm going to ask you this question. Based on science and history, do you think people would eat as much meat if it wasn't conveniently packaged in coolers at their local grocery store?
Well, it is a very good question. I believe that probably not, because our psychology has great mechanism allowing us to eat meat. Most of us love animals and we love meat at the same time, and it creates something called cognitive dissonance. It basically makes us uncomfortable if we try to address those both two issues at the same time, loving animals and loving food and loving meat. So we try to distract ourselves, for example, by using all these fancy names for meat like pork or beef. We don't call it pig or cow, The Japanese in medieval times, they went even further. They were calling some meats things like maple, for example, like, the name for trees, to really, dissociate this food from the animal. And we do it still the same way, the packaged meat in the supermarket. It really doesn't remind us much of the animal, and it's easier to eat it this way.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps.
Most people I know, if they had to kill the animal or the fish themselves, there's no way they would eat it. It just would be happening a lot less. But, in your book, it says that some scientists argue that it was the Neanderthals' dependence on meat that caused their demise. So with the paleo diet being so popular and meat-heavy, do you see any problems with the premise on which such diets are based?
I mean, there's lots of problems with such diets. First of all, there was no one paleo diet. First of all, humans lived all over the planet, and so there were, in different, climatic zones, there were different paleo diets. So which one should we follow? Also, the Paleolithic was a very long time. So again, when should we be looking for? And the most important thing was, again, our ancestors back then, they really just wanted to survive from one day to the next, and they didn't think about having diabetes in their 60s or heart attacks, in their 70s. Mm-hmm. They really just wanted to survive. So if your priority is to just survive and not be hungry tomorrow, yes, go for the paleo diet. But, we really want to have healthy long retirements these days, and we have better foods. If our ancestors had the availability of foods we have now, they probably would also go for different foods. They would eat lentils and beans and tofu, but they just didn't have it.
Yeah. Well, in your book, Meat Hooked, it says that some researchers argue that increasing meat consumption around the globe, the U.S. included, is not demand-driven, but supply-driven, and it's pushed more by the actions of the meat industry and not so much by the desires of our taste buds. Is that true?
I mean, there is both. So definitely our taste buds are kind of leading us astray, but the meat industry is certainly helping them. When I come across research, papers that say, eat more animal protein, I always check, where the funding came from, and basically always it comes from the meat industry. But when the popular press reports on such studies, it's usually not. It's usually forgotten. It's not said that. By the way, this research has been sponsored by the National Cattlemen Association or something like that. So, but they are really pushing and giving money to fund this kind of research.
Well, what do you think about the meat industry? What's the most disturbing, detrimental thing?
Yeah, definitely, messing up with science, that's definitely something I really don't like, especially as a science journalist. I truly believe that sponsoring of studies in this way should not be allowed, just in the way that many of the most prominent journals are not allowing anymore sponsoring by the tobacco industry. The fact that meat industry can still do it, it's certainly very disturbing, and it's really confusing the consumers, because they see all these, articles or, the TV stories, television stories saying, one day it's meat is bad for you, the other day meat is good for you. But what they don't hear is that the meat is good for you. Stories are sponsored by the meat industry. So it creates a lot of confusion, and also turns people against science, which I always think is a particularly bad thing.
Well, when you were doing all this research, let me ask you this. How has the evolution of how we raise animals for consumption changed the meat and the environment?
I mean, certainly there's another thing. We've talked before about the paleo diet, that, the meat we are eating today is very different from the meat that our ancestors were eating. And I'm not just talking about all these antibiotics and growth hormones and whatnot. Just the fact that the animals our ancestors ate, that these were wild animals that were often hungry in their natural environment. They had very different fat content. So, for example, a steak made of an wild African deer would have 12 times less fat than a steak made of beef that you can buy in an American supermarket. Mm-hmm. And also it would have much lower percentage of saturated fatty acids, so the ones that are bad for you. So it was very different meat as well, even going beyond all those antibiotics and growth hormones. Yeah.
Okay, quick solutions. We're going to have to go to break, but I've got about a minute. What do you think are some of the solutions to our issues arising from the meat industry?
I mean, first of all, I think, we should definitely, for climate change sake, because meat has a tremendous impact on climate change, we should definitely change the way we're eating. And reducing consumption, I think that's the key. Telling people to go vegan generally scares them away, even though in the ideal world, maybe that would be perfect, but it just won't work easily because we are so hooked on meat.
Right.
But reducing consumption, and we have so many great products these days, plant-based products. There is a clean meat coming, and hopefully, it will help people just cut down. If everybody cuts down meat consumption by, even, 20%, that would be a tremendous change already. So it's better to have most people cut down, let's say 10%, than we have, 100 people go vegan. So I think reducing consumption is really a great way to go.
I agree. Great advice. Thank you so much. Marta Zaraska, she is the author of the book Meat Hooked. Thank you so much for jumping on the air with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was my pleasure. Everyone, stay tuned. We've got Jill Lane coming up. We're going to be talking about how to cook for your family and reduce fast food intake. You're listening to One Life Radio.
See where this thing goes. If it's meant to be, it'll be, it'll be. Baby, if it's meant to be.
I don't mean to be so uptight, but my heart's been hurt.
Hey, this is Sean Wells of the International Society of Sports Nutrition. One Life Radio is proud to partner with the ISSN. The ISSN is the world's leading scientific organization dedicated to the science of supplements and sports nutrition. For their latest conferences and events, go to theissn.org. That's the ISSN.org.
Hi, everyone. This is Bernadette. Do you know why I love Paleo Magazine? Paleo Magazine was founded with the purpose of providing readers with the information they need to live strong, vibrant, healthy lives. They are dedicated to partnering with leaders in the paleo community to spread the knowledge of ancestral health principles without the influence of big pharma or big agriculture. Paleo Magazine. Follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram, or visit them at paleomagonline.com. That's paleomagonline.com.
Here's the dill pickle. Squatty Potty works. It's awesome. Find yours at your local Bed Bath & Beyond, Amazon, or squattypotty.com. That's squattypotty.com.
Sun Warrior believes that plants provide the cleanest and most powerful foods, rich in antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and phytonutrients. Our bodies crave real foods, especially in this age where we heavily process everything we eat, stripping out all of the benefits and nutrition well before we have a chance to even use them. Illuminate your body, mind, and the planet with Sun Warrior. To learn more, visit them at sunwarrior.com. That's sunwarrior.com.
Did you know a mother rat will dip her paws into cool water and gently smooth the fur around her infants' faces? The babies put their arms around their mother's neck and pay attention while being bathed. Rats and mice fall in love, risk their lives to save their kids, and giggle when tickled. Evan Walker writes of a mouse who died of shock in a trap. His life was a life fully as real to him as ours is to us. This creature, for all the irritation it may have brought as it scampered through closed closets or up some crevice in a wall, was as precious as you or I. He was not a machine that breaks and fails. He felt. His was consciousness, full and real and fragile and precious. This is Ingrid Newkirk with Peter, reminding us that it's easy to be kind, perhaps by not using glue traps.
Welcome back to One Life Radio, everyone. This is Bernadette with Diamond Gray. I've got Avi and Lexi in studio with me and Jill Lane. I want to let everyone know that you can go to our website, oneliferadio.com, to download and listen to our podcast or subscribe to our newsletter. Also, you can go to iHeartMedia.com to listen live or download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to us from anywhere in the world. A big shout out to our sponsors, great companies like Sun Warrior. Check them out, Sun Warrior. You can get it at Vitamin supplement shop or put it in your smoothie at Smoothie King. Sun Warrior is a premium, all-natural, raw superfood company dedicated to providing the best vegan, plant-based protein powders and supplements. Go to sunwarrior.com to learn more about all their products. And, of course, Squatty Potty, the original squat-to-poop toilet seat, and H-Hemp Company. I was talking about it earlier in the show. Check out their tinctures and their breast spray with the hemp oil in it. Great